Greetings everybody, welcome. We are introducing today a new show. What are they serving in heaven? What's on the menu at the heavenly banquet? That's the ultimate theological question. And when we come from a world, particularly this little community here in Richmond, BC, which features so many meals from around the world, that's the penultimate question. What's on the menu? What's for dinner when we arrive at that heavenly banquet? Well, I'd like to introduce a special guest here today for this very first episode. Vivian Chow, come on down. Vivian, you're kind of the mascot for this show because you are someone who actually has cooked a few meals from around the world, from various places in the world, but you're going to cook something for us today that is from your background. What are you cooking for us today?
Yes. Hi, Father. Thank you for welcoming me. So today we're making a fresh, homemade rice noodles from scratch, and then we're going to turn it into a stir-fry dish. And this recipe is inspired from my mom.
Okay.
We grew up in a family and we love to eat noodles. And we grew up in a small town, Windsor, Ontario. And at that time, there weren't too many Asian grocery stores, so it was really hard to find fresh noodles. So this is something my mom would make, and it's become a tradition.
Well, it sounds delicious. Are they gluten-free?
For sure.
Oh, wow. So I can eat it?
Of course.
Oh, I see. You know what?
I wouldn't make
Every now and again, people care about me. So Vivian, I just want to tell folks too, you are one of our school parents here at St. Joseph the Worker, and you've got 3 children. How old are your kids?
My kids are going into grade 2, grade 1, and preschool.
Okay. Now, do they eat your cooking?
They have no choice.
They have no choice.
Yes, they do.
Well, we do, you know. So that's going to be the test. At the end, I'm going to invite someone in to test this food. And so as we begin now, I really want to, let's get started. What do you need me to do, or what are you going to do? Just
So
go
it's
for
actually
it.
pretty simple. There's only a few steps and a few ingredients, as you can see. We have here a bowl of 200 grams of rice flour, and in this other bowl we have 200 grams of tapioca flour.
Ooh.
And then this is a little bit of a mix of the both flours for our kneading later on. Okay, so our first step, we're gonna just get some water to start boiling.
Okay.
So turn it up here. And then, did you want to help me, Father?
Well, you know, I'm not really good in the kitchen, which is
We need
why
more
you're here
practice,
to kind of
right?
show me what to do.
So you can put these 2 flours in the mixing bowl
All
here.
of it?
All of it.
Okay.
It's very easy.
What is this I'm putting in here right
So
now?
this is rice flour.
Rice flour.
And then tapioca flour.
Wow.
So with rice noodles, we can't just use rice flour because rice flour is actually not very strong. So if you were to just use rice flour, the noodles would just crumble.
Really?
And so we mix it with tapioca flour to give it that chewiness and that stretchiness that you get with noodles. So we use both types of flours. All right, so now the water's boiling. So Father, if you can just fill this measuring cup to 1 cup, and we will get the mixer started. And you just want the mixer about medium-low on the mixer. And in total, you'll be adding about 1 3/4 cup of boiling hot water.
You know, Vivian's a dentist, folks. Vivian, did you learn how to cook in dental school? Is that really something they teach there?
We do a different type of cooking.
Yeah.
My mom was a great cook, so she taught me a lot of cooking. I think I developed my passion and love for cooking through her.
Right.
And then when I went away to dental school, there was no one to cook for me, so I had to.
Oh, so there is a connection. But I did notice there's no sugar in this recipe, so
No sugar.
I know you have to pay attention to this, what you're doing here, but I got other questions for you. So
Sure,
much
go ahead.
I want to learn. You've been cooking meals from around the world in recent months. Can you tell us why that happened?
Okay. So in March break, we were supposed to go away with our kids to Hawaii. And as you all know, the pandemic came and then we had to cancel our plans. So the kids were really disappointed. But we thought a way to cheer them up, I said, how about we'll quote unquote travel around the world by studying different cultures and countries. And we cook a dish from that specific country that we're learning about that night.
Wow.
And it's we're still doing it now.
So how many different countries from around the world have you cooked meals for in the last 3 months? 4 months?
I think we're at about 120-ish
Oh
countries.
my!
So there's a lot of countries I've never heard of.
So if I want to know what they're serving in heaven, I just have to ask you. I mean, you've got all the answers.
I'm getting
right?
closer.
Yeah.
Getting closer.
I notice you're pouring that in slowly.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get it evenly. Let that go a little bit higher. And you'll just start to see the dough come together. And once you get that kind of moist looking ball of the dough, you know it's time to stop. And it usually takes about 3 to 4 minutes.
Okay. And the liquid kind of goes into
Yeah,
the
so it
dough.
gets incorporated into the dough. Alright, so as you can see now, the dough's come together into a ball.
Yeah, it looks like ice cream.
That's for another episode, Father. Okay,
I want to come back for that one. Actually, I can't do dairy, so.
you can make a dairy-free one.
And you know, you're a dentist, so it probably won't have any sugar in it.
Well, now you know a good dentist.
There you go.
Alright, so what you want to do is put some flour on your cutting board here. And
Yeah.
we're just going to start kneading. So it takes about, say, 6 minutes or so to knead all the flour in. This is the
Okay.
part where I'm going to use your elbow grease.
Okay, yeah,
So
I
I'll
got
let
it.
you.
You know, I've done things. You know, I did wash my hands, folks, so don't worry. No, nothing will be artificially living in this noodle. Oh yeah. I think you've done most of the work here. This looks pretty, you know, easy. Even though
Doing great.
it reminds me of Play-Doh. You know, I did play with Play-Doh as a child. Of course, that was a long time ago, right? Now you can let me know when it's done.
Yeah, so I'm just going to add a little bit more flour once the flour on the board has incorporated.
All right.
Do the same thing.
Actually, you know, speaking of mother's recipes, I used to help my mother bake bread and do this with the bread. That was when I ate bread back in the day before I developed celiac disease. But anyway, that's a long, boring, tragic story. Very
Is
good.
there any other favorite foods that your mom made that you still remember?
Yeah. So she made all kinds of things that I couldn't eat that were lovely. There was the bread, homemade bread, and then there was the muffins, her lovely muffins. But you know, that's all history.
Alright, yeah.
Well, now we're into noodles. Now we're into rice noodles, and I actually do love rice noodles. So,
How do you usually eat them?
well,
Stir
usually
fry, soup?
in faux soup, but
That is
we're
one
not
of our
doing
favorites,
Vietnamese.
actually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So the thing with these noodles, they're very versatile. You can stir fry them, you can put them in soup. Or just plain with some little bit of soy sauce.
How am I doing?
You're doing good. I see you're sweating a bit, Father.
Yeah.
So let me give you a hand.
Okay,
You're
I've
getting
never done
tired.
this before. You know, I'm more used to talking, but you know, this whole series is about what's on the menu in heaven and what's for dinner in heaven. And I read a scripture quote this morning that was from the book of Sirach, and I invite you to go look it up. Sirach 1:15. Actually, literally, the words of Sirach are, "She fills her home with desirable foods," and that she refers to God. Now, we're looking at going to a banquet here, and this is just a foretaste of that heavenly banquet. We were truly filled with something desirable. And you said at the beginning that you feed your kids food that they actually want to eat, right?
Of course.
I mean, what parent doesn't? And of course, we have a good God who does that for us. And I'm going to throw in there also a quote from Virginia Woolf, who says, "The one who does not eat well, this one does not live well." Oh my gosh, I've already forgotten the quote. It's something about living well, loving well. If you dine well, we got to eat well. Good food is good, right?
You are very right about that.
So our God really touches into our desire. And food hits the senses and brings us into a relationship with God that is meaningful. So what this comes down to is I can't wait to taste this.
Well, we're getting closer.
All right, let's get on with it.
Woo! Alright, so I think we've incorporated all of the flour now. So what you want to do next is kind of roll it into a log shape, about, let's say about as long as this board. So let's see. There's really no exact science to this, so it's, like I said, it's really flexible, the recipe. You can do it longer, you can do it a little bit shorter.
Okay. Look, you're making something there that, many things can be made out of. That's like one big noodle.
But yeah, you can cook this one big noodle. It'll be quite chewy.
Yeah. If you like carbs, right there.
All right, so we got the log shape. Next, we're just gonna cut it up into about an inch and a half wide pieces.
Okay. Well, that's really interesting.
What do you want to do? Do you want to do this part with me and try one?
Sure.
Okay, so I'll give you one piece. And what
Okay.
you want to do is kind of flatten it in the palm of your hand into sort of a disc shape. Okay. And then next, you're just going to roll it out. Okay. About a 1/8 inch thickness. And it really depends how thick you want your noodles. You can have it super thin, or if you like this thicker noodle, just keep it a little bit thicker. Okay. So the great thing about homemade noodles is we make it as you like. So I think I'm happy with how thick it is, and I'm just going to use this bench press, and we're just going to cut it.
It's almost like hand sliced noodles.
And it's not going to be perfect, and you don't want it to look perfect because you want people to know it's homemade, right? You can do it wide, you can do it narrow, it's up to you. This is when you can get the kids to hug, which is great. You love the cutting, you like the rolling out.
So they go from marshmallows to some spaghetti-like things. Well, it's exactly what they are.
And I find with kids, when they actually get involved making it,
Oh,
they actually
I can
want to eat
imagine.
it, right? Like, I need it.
You actually do get your kids doing this with you in the kitchen, don't
Oh,
you?
well, they're always really curious. Like, Mommy, what are you doing? So I say, hey, and they love to help. And then basically that's it. And then you cover it with a little bit of rice flour.
Yeah.
And then do the same thing with the other pieces. Okay. Okay, so we're just about finished cutting our last piece.
Right. That was hard work.
You did great, Father. Alright, so we just put a little bit of rice flour on top just so that it doesn't stick. And then to cook these, you just need some boiling water.
Okay.
And it cooks for about 1 minute to 2 minutes.
Really?
Okay, so it's
1 to
very
2
fast.
minutes.
Very fast.
Okay.
So we'll grab a bunch here, straight into the water.
All right.
A little bit more here. Just turn the heat up a little bit. And just wait for the water to start boiling again, and then you know when it's done. And then when you're done with it, you just put it in a bath of ice water, just to stop the cooking, and the noodles won't stick this way.
Okay. You put the noodles in the water.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. And then afterwards, we'll stir fry the noodles.
And there's ice in this. I don't know if most of them can
there's
see it. There's ice in this water.
So it's ice cold water. Ice to stop the cooking of the noodles, and then the cold water allows the noodles not to stick.
Right.
Okay.
So, they don't obviously look like they're cooked, but, I know they are. And now that I see you pulling them out of the water, they look like they're cooked, but when they're in the water, they
try
almost
these?
don't look like they're cooked. Because they don't change that much in appearance. But you can just sort of subtly see that they are.
Yes. They're actually quite soft, so you don't need to cook them.
And it's funny you asked, would you like to try a piece? Because that's how I would do it. If I was cooking at home, that's how
That's
when
how I
I'm
would
ever
do it too.
cooking noodles, I pull them out and I taste
Exactly.
them.
All right, so now we have our noodles cooked.
All right.
And at this point, you can really do whatever you want. So for today, we're going to stir fry.
I mean, I can just eat them?
Yeah, and you can just eat them.
Oh.
Cold. You can make a cold noodle.
But,
But
You're gonna do
today,
more.
we're going to stir fry them.
okay.
So to do that, I'm gonna cook the ingredients first.
Okay. What have you got in the pan there?
So in the pan, I'm just heating up some oil.
Is there an oil of preference that you have?
I use avocado oil, but really any oil that can take high heat.
Yeah.
Canola oil works. So for our ingredients for today, we have some onion and garlic. And this garlic is actually from our garden.
Wow.
Yeah, so great way to
You
use
even
our
grow the
veg.
food.
Yeah. And some peppers, mushrooms, peas, carrots, and tofu. You can change it up and add some meat or chicken, different kinds of veggies. So really whatever you like. So your rainbow of choice.
Sounds
Okay,
fantastic.
so I'm just gonna saute some onion and garlic.
Yeah.
So just for a few minutes to let the onions get soft.
Good for your breath, this part.
Good for your body too.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
Next we'll add some peppers.
Certainly a colorful looking dish.
It's a great way to get the kids to eat the veggies.
Oh yes, you disguise it. With adults, you can disguise it by saturating it in vodka or something. But for the kids, I guess not.
You can add a splash of vodka.
Right. It's too much sugar in that again. We have a dentist here.
We love our sweets too.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Let that cook for a minute or so. And then we'll add some carrots.
Very nice. Now your tofu, did you chop that yourself or did that come like that?
No, it actually comes in a big block. So
Okay.
then you can slice it and chop it into whatever bite size you like.
Alright. So is this just sauteing in there or are you cooking it?
Yep, we're sauteing it. The veggies are, I mean, you can eat them raw, so we're used to cook them and infuse some flavor with them with the sauce.
Okay.
I wish everyone could smell.
Yes, smells very
It
good.
smells really good.
So what's that next thing going in there? Oh, you put
Oh,
a little
just
more
green
peas.
And we're mixing that green
Gotta get
color.
those greens in there. Yeah. Yeah, this really was your mother's recipe, eh?
No, Mom loves veggies, so we found ways to cook them multiple ways. So we're gonna add a little bit of sauce. And what I have here is some oyster sauce, hoisin sauce, and soy sauce, and a little bit of sesame oil. So we're just gonna put a little bit in.
All of which I may add can be bought gluten-free.
All right, so I just learned this. from
Yeah,
others.
yeah. But see, I didn't give Vivian enough warning today, so, you know, this meal was entirely gluten-free until now.
You'll have to imagine what
Yeah.
it tastes like.
Yeah.
Okay, so at this point you can add the noodles in. And they're pretty much cooked, so you just have to warm them up. It doesn't take too long.
Oh, lovely. That looks lovely. See the way it mixes in there.
Just let that heat up again. And
I'm
then-
getting hungry. Oh yeah, it just soaks right in.
Yep,
And you're more or less just warming up those noodles
exactly.
at this
We
point.
already cooked them. Right? So I'm just putting some flavor into them. Well, this is ready actually. We're just gonna plate it on a nice plate and let our special guest taste it.
Okay, let's do it.
So just put this plate. Let's roll it up a little bit more.
looks delightful, but still the question remains, does this merit to be served at the heavenly banquet?
I sure hope so. And here you have it, our homemade fresh rice noodles. So bon appetit.
Well, Vivian, that looks fantastic, and one of these days I'm going to try the gluten-free version. So I can't be the judge of your salvation today. Gonna have to invite somebody else in. Somebody actually who knows a thing or two about Asian cuisine. He's not Chinese, but he does like noodles. I'm gonna invite in Father Joachim Yoon to come in. Since COVID started, we friars have been cooking our meals in-house, of course, all by ourselves. And Joachim's really good.
Yeah, sure.
Like, he's really good, especially with noodles. So Joachim, Vivian wants you to try this dish here. She's really proud of it. She's worked really hard on it. So Vivian, you want to tell them about it?
Yeah.
So it's rice noodle. It's just rice flour and tapioca flour. And then we just stir fry with some veggies and tofu.
Yeah. Well, watch the what you want.
Yeah.
Would you like
So are you daring to
Or is it
taste it?
taster?
Excited to taste it. It looks great, you know. It's beautiful and must be tasty, but I will pay for it. Let's this food first.
Amen. So it's so holy.
Amen. Thank you.
There's a moment of truth here. Well, he hasn't keeled over.
First of all, the texture of noodles are really great.
Okay.
And also the sauce is wonderful.
So maybe you can answer the question, is that on the menu in heaven?
I think so.
All right. Vivian is in, folks, and aren't we all? Gosh, looking forward to that heavenly banquet. I tell you, if this is on the menu, as long as it's gluten-free, I'm gonna eat it. And we all look forward to that day when we can gather together again. This is just a foretaste of the great things to come. Coming up on the next episode, don't go away, there are more. Next week, we go from Southeast Asia to the British Isles. Looking forward to this whirlwind tour to find out what else may be on the menu in heaven.